this video, we are going to go over how to simplify expressions. You already know how to simplify expressions, so this is kind of like a review. We really want to make sure that you perfect this skill of simplifying. So step one is to distribute. You want to get rid of the parentheses. Step two is to combine like terms, right? Like terms are terms that have the same variable. Step three, you want to double check that the expression is simplified with no like terms, no parentheses, and no double signs. I don't want to see a double negative written in a simplified expression. This double negative turns into a positive. I also don't want to see like plus negative because this automatically turns into a subtraction. All right, so let's move on. So number one here, we have 5x plus 2 minus parentheses negative 3x minus 5. So we are going to start with the parentheses, and we need to distribute. There's no number in front of our parentheses, but we should know that there really is a negative 1 there. So negative 1 times 3x is positive 3x. Negative 1 times negative 5 is positive 5, and then everything else drops. Next, we want to do 5x plus 3x and get 8x, right? We combine our like terms, and then we have this 2 plus 5 will get us 7. All right, in our next example here, I see parentheses, which means I'm going to distribute. I see this negative 6, I will distribute. Negative 6 times negative 1/2 x. All right, well, half of 6 is 3, and we're doing negative times a negative, which gets you a positive. All right, and negative 6 times 1 is positive 6. Everything else drops. All right, now we are going to combine our x's. So we have negative 4x plus 8x, that's 4x, plus 3x gets us 7x. And then plus 6, because that's 6, we can't combine, that's our constant, right? We can't combine with the 7x. All right, moving on, number 3. Number 3 is a really long problem. The first thing I'm going to tackle, though, is those parentheses, just like the other problems. You'll notice in front of the parentheses, we have a negative 1/8 and a negative 3. So those are what we are going to distribute first. So 1/8 of 16, it's like saying 16 divided by 8, right? 1/8 of 16, and you get 2x. And we have a negative times a positive, which gets us a negative. All right, so we have here negative 2x. 1/8 of 8 is 1, and it's a negative times a positive, so that's negative. All right, over here, we've got negative 3 times 9, which gets us negative 27y, negative 3 times 2, which gets us negative 6. Now, everything else before we continue will drop down. And I always at this step go back and make sure that I distributed correctly. So negative 1/8 times 16x is, in fact, negative 2x. Negative 1/8 times 8 is in fact negative 1, and then we go to the other side, negative 3 times 9y, negative 27, negative 3 times 2 is in fact negative 6. All right, so now we can continue. We're going to combine our like terms. We've got 3x, 2x, and when you combine those, you get 1x, or just x, okay? And then we are going to combine negative 2y plus negative 27y gets us negative 29y. And then we are going to combine, I put these in a cloud, my last ones, positive 9 minus 1, so that's positive 8. So we have 8 minus 6, and that gets us 2. All right, number 4, we have here 4 times 3x, that's 12x. 4 times negative 10 is negative 40, right? So we just distributed the 4. We also can distribute this negative 2. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. All right, now we can combine our like terms. 12x's minus 2x's gets us 10x's. And then we have here negative 40 and negative 12 gets us negative 52. All right, and number 5. I personally don't like when I see the x's in my numerators like this. Me personally, I think of it like this. I think of there's a 1 in front of the x, right? There's always an invisible 1. And then I like to rewrite these. X over 3 is the same thing as saying 1/3 x. And x over 2 is the same thing as saying 1/2 x. So I like to rewrite it so that I see my fractions written with a coefficient in the front that I can combine my like terms with. All right, so now I have 1/3 x plus 1/2 x plus, this is really a 1x, right? All right, well, I am going to make these have common denominators so that I can add them. So my common denominator for these first two would be 6. So I'm going to just multiply each of these by 2, and I get 6 at the bottom and 2 at the top. And then here I'm going to multiply by 3. So then I have 3 at the top and 6 at the bottom. And honestly, I'm just going to rewrite the whole thing. This way I could combine my like terms. I could see everything better here. All right, so now I have 2x plus 3x. That gets me 5x. Sorry, 6x, right? So let me repeat that again. We have here 26x plus 36x, and that gets you 6x. All right, so these two added together that I have in orange, you get 6x plus 1x will get you 1 and 6x. And then that minus 5 just drops because it doesn't have any other like term. There's no other constant that goes with that. All right, and number 6, 1/2 times 6x, that's 3x. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 1/3 of 6x is negative 2x. And then negative 1/3 times negative 1 will get you a positive 1/3. All right, now we can combine our like terms. So we have here 3x and negative 2x, that gets us 1x. And then we have here negative 1 plus 1/3, which is minus 2/3. If you're not sure how to do that, right, negative 1 plus 1/3 is the same thing as negative 1 over 1. You need common denominators, so you would multiply by 3, and then you end up with negative 2/3. All right, this time I want you to pause the video and see if you can do the U-Try problems on your own. And then you can hit play again so you can see how I go over them. All right, so at this point now you should have already paused the video. Let's go over them. So here we have negative 1/5 times 5. All right, 1/5 of 5 is 1x, which you don't need to write the 1. So, and it's a negative times a positive, which gets you a negative. All right, 1/5 of 20 is like saying 20 divided by 5, right, which is 4. And it's a negative times a positive, so we have a negative. Right, so hold on, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. All right, so negative 1/5 times 20 gets us that negative 4. Next, we have here negative 2 times 3x, that gets us negative 6x. Negative 2 times 1 gets us negative 2, and then everything else drops. Okay, next we are going to combine 4x minus x minus 6x. All right, well, 4x minus x gets you 3x. 3x minus 6x gets you negative 3x. And then we are going to combine positive 1 and negative 4, which is negative 3, plus negative 2 gets you negative 5. All right, and then number 8 here, I see a negative next to the parentheses, so automatically I know I have a negative 1 there that I need to distribute. Negative 1 times 5x is negative 5x. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 9y is positive 9y, and then everything else drops. All right, and now we're going to combine our like terms. So I've got a 2x plus a negative 5x, and that gets me negative 3x. I have 9y, positive 9y plus 6y, and that gets me 15y. And then I have this last piece here, which is negative 1, and that you can't combine with anything else. All right, so that is all. Hopefully you learned how to simplify expressions. Thank you for watching.